Am I the asshole for refusing to give my partner the safe code to our home safe? I, 32 female, am a gemologist. I spend my days in the lab testing and identifying stones. From the nature of my work, I have also established a large and valuable collection of jewelry, but also gem specimens that I keep in a safe, and I specifically bought that safe and had it installed for those specific gems. I also have a smaller safe for keeping important documents like passports. I own my home, and my boyfriend, 33 male, of 2 years recently moved in as he was renting before. I gave him the code to the smaller safe so he could put his valuables in it, but he also wants the code for my gem safe. Not to put anything in it, but he says because we're living together now, I should trust him and give him the code. I've said no because there's no reason for him to open the safe, as the only thing it's used for is storing my collection. He said he has no interest in my gem collection, doesn't want to look at them, but he still wants the code and to be able to access them. This is causing tension because he said I should give it to him as a show of trust. And I said no, because he literally has no reason to go in there, so he doesn't need the code. This is a 6-figure collection, so I'm not being difficult over a few little gems here. And I'm the only one that knows the code. So Reddit, am I being the asshole here for not giving him the code? Am I the asshole for going home after I was told to sleep on the floor? I'll preface this by saying that my husband, 33, has a friend named Carl, 33, who he considers to be one of his closest friends. My husband sometimes calls Carl his nicotine because of how much he misses him and wants to spend time with him. They do everything together. They're even coworkers at the same job. Unfortunately, Carl's wife passed away from cancer 3 months ago, which caused him to distance himself. My husband felt devastated for him, and he recently started spending more time with him and brought him meals and new clothes. We planned a 3-day vacation to another state. I made hotel reservations for 2. Unbeknownst to me, my husband had invited Carl to come with us. This made me upset because it spoiled the entire vacation. Not to be dramatic. I only found out when he and I went to pick him up. I sucked it up after my husband explained that Carl is a recent widower who has been wallowing in grief for so long and needs this vacation. The problem is money is tight, and since Carl hasn't worked ever since his wife passed, he couldn't pay for his own room, and we didn't have the budget for it. My husband said that we should just have one room, and again, I sucked it up since he said we'd be out at the beach all day anyway. First night, I was in bed when my husband and Carl got back. I got woken up by my husband telling me to get out of bed and sleep on the mattress that he put on the floor for me, and that he and Carl would take the bed. I asked if he was serious, and he kept asking me what else he was supposed to do. He said Carl was a guest, and we can't let him sleep on the floor, and at the same time, I can't share a bed with Carl while he, my husband, slept on the floor. I told him I didn't sign up for this, but he told me to suck it up, and he tried to pull the Carl is a widower card. I told Carl to get out, and then I got up, got dressed, and I went home. My husband started yelling at me and telling me that I was irrational, but I wasn't having it. I left the hotel and I traveled back home. Carl didn't say anything when he saw me leave, except that I was making a non-issue an issue. They got back and my husband refused to even talk about it, but still said that I ruined this for Carl and us by acting horridly and disgusting. I admit Carl is struggling, and I may have ruined this for him, but I didn't even know he was coming. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for making my girlfriend cry because I said computer science would be too hard for her? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 24 male, have been with my girlfriend, 22 female, for 6 years. I currently work in the business sector and have been thinking about going back to school for a degree in computer science and engineering. My girlfriend has been extremely supportive of my decision and has been there for me throughout the application process. For background, she works multiple roles in healthcare and science and wants to go to medical school. Today after work, she came home and we talked for a bit. We had a conversation about our days, jobs, and plans to go back to school. At one point, we had an intense but healthy conversation about the pay differences and systematic process in both the healthcare and tech fields. She confided in me that she sometimes wishes more of our friend group held healthcare positions too, and that it's still shocking to her how much tech people get paid in such a short amount of time. She also clarified that it's not that she wants tech to pay less, but for sectors like healthcare, hospitality, and first responders to pay more. I tried to comfort her and tell her that it's okay that she's in healthcare because she's passionate about her patients. Am I the asshole for making my girlfriend cry because I said computer science would be too hard for her? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I tried to comfort her and tell her it's okay that she's in healthcare because she's passionate about her patients and science, and she agreed. I then said that computer science would be too hard for her anyways. After that simple statement, she turned away from me and began crying. I was confused at first and asked her if she was okay. She broke down telling me that she felt my comment was unnecessary and it just made her feel even more misunderstood. I know that she's been through a lot with her jobs, and even though she loves what she does, she's been feeling burnt out. I understand her line of work does require a special person, but that doesn't mean she would do well in tech, especially since she's not a tech-savvy person. We often joke about how she's not tech-inclined and needs my help a lot in that area. My comment was both the truth and a joke, but I understand how it could be hurtful. At the same time, I still can't shake that she could have reacted differently and was probably feeling insecure and that her pride was hurt. I just think she shouldn't have felt that I was belittling her abilities just by telling the truth. So am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for returning the money to my mother-in-law in front of everyone and embarrassing her? Disclaimer, this is not my story. My fiance, 27 male, and I, 28 female, are getting married in March. I come from an upper-class family and my fiance is lower middle class. Despite me being able to pay all the costs of the wedding, my parents gave the equivalent of 70% of the value of the wedding as a gift, which was around $30,000. Fortunately, my parents did not use this gift as a form of wanting to control everything at the party. When my fiance's parents learned that my parents had given this gift, they decided to give us their gift as well and gave us $3,000. An amount for which I was very grateful to have received, and I deeply regret doing this, especially for my mother-in-law. I don't plan on having a traditional wedding party. My dress won't be white, there will be no religious ceremony, and it will be a party for only 30 guests, and my fiance agrees and supports this. This bothers my mother-in-law a lot, especially the dress not being white. Over time, she gave up on imposing the idea of a big party and not having a religious ceremony, but the dress is something she annoys me about too much. Am I the asshole for returning the money to my mother-in-law in front of everyone and embarrassing her? Disclaimer, this is not my story, but the dress is something that she annoys me about too much. And it's continued even though I snapped on her and my fiance has told her to stop. Because of this, we are low contact with her. Yesterday was my sister-in-law's birthday and I went with my husband. Obviously, my mother-in-law was there. Not even 5 minutes after I stepped into the party, she started again with the idea of me having to wear white because it's an important tradition. It got to the point where she was talking to her sisters about how this new generation doesn't respect traditions and how she was afraid of these new parties. She said that in her time, the bride and grooms respected their parents' opinions, and even more if they helped pay for the wedding. I said, enough, I can't take it, it's not worth listening to other people's shit for this money. I had the money in my pocket because I was going to deposit it in the bank later, but I gave up and gave it to her in front of everyone. And I add that now she won't say anything because she's not helping. My fiance's family said that I humiliated her in front of everyone. But my fiance understands why I did it, but he said it wasn't the best place to do it.
My daughter, 16, Megan, just finished her cancer treatment. She's lost her hair in the process and she's been incredibly insecure because of it. She no longer meets friends nor welcomes them at her home nor even meets family in person. It's been bad to say the least, but her stepbrother Ben, 18, has been making it worse with his nagging comments and jokes about her looks. He tried taking and posting pics of her secretly to share, but I shut that down even though my husband thought it was just harmless teasing. My husband's sister's wedding was last week. The family wanted Megan to go, but she didn't want to. I spent so much time trying to help her and convince her to start socializing again and see family. She agreed under the condition that I let her wear a wig, which I agreed. Not only that, but I took her shopping to pick her own wig, and she looked beautifully stunning in her pixie hairstyle wig. My husband and Ben laughed when they saw it. I don't know why. We went to the wedding and everything was going well till this happened. We were all sitting and we were talking about Megan's look. Suddenly, Ben reached out and pulled her wig and exposed her head. I was shocked. I froze, but Megan yelled and then took her wig and ran. Ben, his cousins, and some guests started laughing. I was upset, especially when I looked over my shoulder and saw my husband sitting next to his mom and laughing. I lost it on Ben and berated him in front of everyone, then took my stuff, got Megan, and got into the car and went home. Ben and my husband didn't have a ride back home, and my husband kept calling me, but I didn't respond. He came home asking me about leaving mid-wedding and upsetting his sister, and then leaving him and Ben without a ride home. I argued with him about how Ben embarrassed Megan and humiliated her publicly, which must have ruined what's left of her self-esteem. He said that it was just kids teasing each other, and that I overreacted and Ben had no malicious intent, he was just messing with her. I said I was sick of it, but he said that this is their way of bonding as step-siblings, and I was getting in the way of it and being overprotective and unreasonable. We didn't talk after that. Ben is refusing to apologize and his dad is backing him up. So am I the asshole for taking my daughter and leaving the wedding after her stepbrother pulled her wig?
I'm an asshole for not wanting my stepkid to come on my honeymoon. A little background information, my partner has a child from a one-night stand approximately 10 years ago. And anything we do together, they have to be a part of it. We went on our first holiday together and they were there. Any breaks to get away from work, they are there. We got engaged a couple of months ago. And again, they were there. We're in the throes of our wedding planning and every idea has to be considerate of my partner and their child, even though this will be the second time they've gotten married. And this is my first. Anything I want seems to be brushed aside or ignored. When discussing the honeymoon, my partner keeps saying that they can't wait to take their child to a destination that we are planning and it would be good for them even though they have been to that destination before. I said the honeymoon should just be me and them, and we should be getting away and enjoying each other's company, and it gets met with attitudes and comments saying we'll just have a mini moon over the weekend. I feel like my thoughts and ideas are being discarded, and this will just be them having a holiday together. So am I the asshole for not wanting the kid there? And just so everyone knows, I do love the kid and think they're great.